All right, we are looking, guys, at the writing part that you had to do. Okay? We're reflecting over line 1, then over line 2. You had to write a paragraph underneath of your explanation. I'm not going to go over the paragraph of the explanation because that's going to be different for each person. You will have to do this on the final test, not the quiz, but you will have to have a writing portion for it. Okay? We're reflecting over 2 parallel lines. We're going to reflect it over line 1 and then over line 2 and then talk about the distances between them. The first thing I'm going to do is take a ruler and I'm going to draw a perpendicular line just to help us kind of keep track. Okay, I'm going to say that I don't know the distance between A and line 1. So I'm going to make that X. Now, I like to use patty paper to kind of explain this. So I'm going to copy line 1, knowing that that's what I'm reflecting over. I'm going to trace this triangle. I might not redraw it over there, but it's just easier to see. That's A, and I know the distance is X. Okay? I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to take line 1, and I'm going to put it right back on top of line 1, showing that I have reflected it over the x-axis, over the line 1. Questions about that so far? I reflected it right over it. So I have X, and I have my A prime right here, and it looks something like this. You don't have to draw that triangle. I just find it easier to see sometimes. Okay, now I do not know the distance. Oh, I'm going to put this over in pen so we can see better. Okay, I'm going to say this distance between A and line 2, I'm going to call it Y. Okay, and I want to reflect over line 2. Again, I'm going to use my patty paper again just because it's easier for me to see. I'm going to copy line 2, labeling it 2. We've got a Y here. We've got my triangle right here. We've got A at the top. We've got X over here. Okay? Now, this X right here is on the other side of A. So when I move line 2 and put it on top of line 2, I don't need to worry about that X because it just gets me to A. So that means right here is Y. Right here is my triangle. You guys can't see it in pencil. And I've got my triangle right here, A double prime. Okay? So this is line 1 to line 2 has a distance of X plus Y. A to A double prime has a distance of 2X plus 2Y. So A to A double prime is twice the distance of line 1 to line 2. Sit up. Write this down. Let's go. Okay, we're going to turn this over. All right, again, we're going to reflect over line 1, then over line 2, but we're looking at intersecting lines. Okay, I like to draw this line to the center so you can see that the distance between them is the degrees. This is X degrees. Again, I'm going to use that patty paper just so you guys can see it. I'm going to copy down line 1, making sure to label it. I'm going to copy down that line to A and write my degrees, X degrees. I'm going to flip it over. I reflect it over it so I know it's over here. So it's that X degrees, A prime. Okay, I don't know the distance between A and line 2. I'm going to call it Y. I need to sketch everything on this side. That's line 2. I've got Y. I've got X. I've got X. I've got A prime. Reflecting it over. I know I'm way over here. with A double prime, and I know I've got Y, X, X. So I know the distance between line 1 to line 2 is what, guys? X plus Y, good. And the distance between A to A double prime, remember, don't look at this stuff. You're just looking at A to A double prime is what? You can say 2Y plus 2X. That's the same thing. You're good. Questions, comments, concerns about this so far? All right. You guys ready to look at the review? Mm-hmm. When is the quiz again?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay? We have the quiz tomorrow. Some people did not do so great on the last one, so we need to really pay attention to this one. Get those grades up a little bit. Yes?
On the exam, will we have to explain how we do it?
On the final exam that you take for this semester, possibly.
Okay.
Most of it will be multiple choice, so there won't be too many worries. Okay. Let's look at this real quick. It says, reflect line 1, this line 2. Remember, this means that we reflect line 2 first, and then we reflect over line 1. Okay? It's written in that way. Everybody should have this review in front of them, ready to go, focused and paying attention. Quiz tomorrow. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw a line that goes through point A that is perpendicular to both of those lines. Doesn't really matter how long it is. I like it to be nice and long on either side so I have room to put all of that in. Okay. Now I know I'm going to reflect over line 2 first. So let's make the distance between A and line 2. What do we want to make it? X. It's fine. Okay. Do I have to get out patty paper to do this?
No.
Does it work out just fine with patty paper though? Because you can see it? Okay. I like to use my patty paper. It's easier to see. I'm going to make this 2. I'm going to trace this X. I'm going to trace my triangle and the letter A. And then reflect means to flip over it, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to pick up my patty paper. I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to place line 2 on top of line 2. And that's what I'm going to trace onto there. So I'm going to make sure I have my triangle X, and it's going to be A prime. So far, so good? Okay. Now, what's my distance between A and line 1? Yes, Y. Could I use different letters? Yeah. Do you have a question, ma'am? When it's listed this way, line 1, this little circle thing, line 2, it means you do the second one first. So on some other ones, it wasn't on this paper, but it'll be like line 2, this dot, line 1. And it just means, you know, you do this one first. It's kind of like parentheses. Okay? All right. So we've got all this information here. We're going to trace everything, including that line. Here is line 1. I like to label it so I remember where I'm going. I'm going to trace this whole thing all the way down. I've got my triangle here at the end. I've got Y, X, X. So I'm going to pick up my patty paper. I'm going to put it right on top, and I'm going to draw this all the way over here. Okay? So I've got A double prime. It's going to be this triangle right here. And I've got the X and the X and the Y. Okay? Now the most important part, you will not get full credit on your quiz. Listen to this. You will not get full credit on your quiz if you don't at the bottom say line 1 to line 2, And what is the distance between line 1 and line 2?
X plus Y.
And now you have to say A to A double prime is how much?
Y plus X plus X.
2x plus 2y. It always should be double of this. Questions, comments, concerns about this so far? Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Now remember, we are going to do line 2 first and then line 1. Okay, I like to make a little note to myself so I don't forget. Again, I'm going to draw my pretty perpendicular line that goes through A. Okay. So, first of all, the distance between line 1 to line 2, I'm going to say is X. Okay? You could say any letter. Now, I'm going to take this whole thing over line 2. So, that means the distance between line 1 and line 2 I can make is what? Y. I can just do the whole thing. Okay? Then I'm going to take out my pretty patty paper. I'm going to trace line 2 because that's what I'm doing first. I label it 2 so I remember. Yes, Layla.
Wouldn't you feel like, since you like combine those together, sort of thing, it just looks to be like X plus Y?
Hold on. Let's reflect this first. Don't go ahead. Okay, we've got Y. And we've got X. Sit down, Cole. Somebody just went. We've got our triangle. There's A. We're going to move it over line 2. Okay? So we've got A right here. Is this pretty triangle. We've got Y and X. Okay? Now, we need to reflect this A prime all the way over line 1. This is where it gets a little confusing. First, let's trace line 1. Line 1's right here, and I'm going to put the X over here on this side. Okay, is that distance. This whole thing is going to be Y to here. Then I've got another Y. Then I've got an X. And then way over here I've got A prime. Okay. Now I'm going to pick this up. This is line 1 right here that I've got labeled. And I'm going to put it right here on top. Okay. So I know I have X, X, Y right here, but one of my X's goes right on top of here. So really, over here, with my triangle, A double prime, see how I have X, Y, Y? That X goes on top of that. I have X, Y, Y, so the X goes here. So I have Y, Y there. I know it looks crazy, but that's how it works. So line 1 to line 2, what's the distance, guys? Look at it again. What's the distance between line 1 and line 2? Okay. What's the distance between A to A double prime? There you go. Is it double? Then we know we did it right. Okay, I know that one looks weird, but all of them have been X and Y so far. This one isn't. Okay. Ready? Any questions about this one? This is probably one of the weirder ones. Yes?
So there's no X on the A part when you like reflect it over?
See how we're reflecting everything here? See how there's 2 Y's and an X? There's already an X here.
Oh.
So that's where that x would go, and then I have 2 y's more to go.
Basically, since that's the same x on that side, so you just cancel them out together. Okay, that makes
They're like overlapping.
more
Yep.
sense.
Okay, let's turn it over. Now remember, I'm going to do line 2 first. Okay, for this one, we're talking about degrees for intersecting lines. So I'm going to draw a line from point A to the point of intersection. Now, I'm going to label the distance between A and line 1x. But remember, I'm going to reflect all the way over line 2. So if this is x, what's line 1 to line 2? We're going to label that whole thing y. Okay. Now I'm going to take my patty paper. Here's line 2. That's what I'm reflecting over. Here's y. Here's my little bit of x. Right there. That's point A. I'm going to take this whole thing, pick it up, put it back over here. My A is all the way over here. Okay? And I've had x, and I've had y. Okay? Yes?
Why not you just the angle of x plus y?
This is my angle, this is my angle, this is my angle, this is my angle. Yes, Layla. Okay. Now I am going to reflect over line 1. Okay. So, I've got line 1 all the way over here. Remember, that's what I'm going to reflect over. I've got y. I've got y. I've got x. And I've got point A prime way over here. I'm going to put this and reflect this over it. Now I want you to think, I know it looks like it's the points way over here. Okay? But we're going to kind of look at it as this way, where the x and the x overlap. So we just have y and y to get my A double prime. Because when the x's overlap, we don't need to write an x over here. They overlapped each other. Okay. What's the distance between line 1 to line 2? Okay. What's the distance between A to A double prime?
Y to y?
2y. Are they double?
Yes.
Okay. Who got lost when we look at this? Do we see that there's an x, y, y here? On this side of line 1, do we see an x, y, y from line 1 to A prime?
Yes.
Okay. Do we see an x, y, y on this side of line 2?
Yes.
Okay. See how they're the same? It's reflected, right? I know when you bring this over, you want to add another x over here. Don't do that. Don't do that. Questions about this so far? Those ones are weird when you overlap something. All right, we ready for the final one? Okay. First thing we're going to do is what? You guys walk me through this one. I don't want to do this. Go ahead, Layla. What's the first thing to do?
Draw a line through A, so basically go towards the middle of it.
To the points of intersection. Okay. Remember, what line are we going to reflect over first? 2. Okay. We're going to go over line 2 first. So, I want you guys to raise your hand for this one. From A to line 2, what is it? What's the degrees?
X.
So, I want you to raise your hand for this one. Madeline.
X.
Thanks. X degrees. From A to line 2. What do I do now? Raise your hand. Layla, put your hand down. You've answered my question. Ashton, yes. You reflect it over it. So we've got line 2. Do you have to use patty paper?
No.
Is it better for demonstration if I use patty paper?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm looking for. So we're going to pick it up. We're going to put it over here. So A is over here. That's A prime, X away. So distracting. Okay, you're so distracting. Okay. All right. So, wait until I'm done, Cole. I'm almost done. All right. What do I need to do next? What do I need to do? Layla, I'm not calling on you anymore. So you can just put your hand. What? What do I need to do before I can reflect over line 1? What do I need? Layla, I'm not calling on you anymore. You put your hand up. What do I need to do first? I know like most of the class knows this. I saw your reviews. What do I need? I'm just going to call on people that I know the answer that don't feel like volunteering. What do I need to do before I can reflect? Layla S. Yes, the degrees, but yes. So we're going to say A to line 1 is Y degrees. Okay, now we're going to do what Jalen said, which is to reflect over line 1, right? Okay. So here is A prime. Here is X. We got that line 2, X, Y, and the important part, this is line 1. We're reflecting it over. So A prime has to be, A double prime has to be all the way over here. And we have Y, X, X. Do I need to outline this in pen? Is that easier to see?
I just can't see them. So I didn't see.
Okay. So, what do I do now? What do I do? What do I need to write? Anybody? Thank you, Anna. Line 1 to line 2. And what's the distance? X plus Y. And then what do I write next? A to A double prime. And I like to double check and look to see that I've got it right. 2x plus 2y. How are we feeling? Okay. Are you ready for this? Because what you're going to do for the next 15 minutes is you're going to get out your notebook and you are going to literally trace one of these, and instead of doing line 2 first, you're going to do line 1 first. All 4 of these, and I'm checking them in before you leave. All 4. All 4. Do it right now. You gotta wait until Michaela comes back.
Maddie asked first before
Maddie.
you asked.
Maddie comes back now.